Yeah, the amount of news that they're probably consuming between all the different regular news stations, whatever, that had been pushing back against the adoption of Bitcoin, it causes fear and causes uncertainty.
Yeah, it's not divisible, it's not portable, it's not, there's all these problems with gold. It's a mindset that just take it, keep it, and never sell your Bitcoin. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Hasan. So, just as we were about to record, you told me that I asked you a question, which was, have you put your center's endowment into Bitcoin yet? And you said no. And elaborate.
Yeah, so not completely. We are.
You have some?
We have, yeah, alhamdulillah. There's a lot of our community members, they donate in crypto. And so what we have done is established a wallet that can receive donations through cryptocurrencies. We're limited on what we take in just because we don't want to take risky coins, but like Bitcoin, Ether.
Do you convert everything into Bitcoin?
Bitcoin Ether is right now been our strategy.
Yeah, now you guys got to move away from
everything.
Ether.
Yeah, it's been
Just move to Bitcoin only.
100%. So, but that being said, we do diversify. We have primarily a lot of our money is invested in stocks and halal Sharia-compliant stocks that we get like good nasiha on before we invest in them. But
you're gonna see that though that ice cube will be melting and the Bitcoin will be far outperforming.
Now, what do you tell the people though that repeat the same kind of fear
propaganda?
I wouldn't just call it propaganda. It's just legitimate fear. This is a new concept. It's only been what 15, yeah, something like that, years of the existence of cryptocurrencies. But with a lot of our communities being established many years ago, the concept of cryptocurrency didn't exist back then. For them, it was stocks. For them, it was real estate. And so
for them, it was gold.
Yeah.
And if we started talking about gold, first of all, I buy gold too. I understand, buy gold too, get it. If you understand it from a diversity perspective, I get it. It makes sense. Now, the problem with gold is it's not portable. Can't take it. Like literally, I was in Pakistan earlier this year and I had taken some gold with me to Pakistan because I was going to Pakistan and my plan was to go to Umrah. And I had heard, and I saw it too, that you can go to Medina and at the gold shops, you can get like an ounce of gold that literally says made in Medina on it. So I was like, man, I have a collection of gold bars. So I was like, let me trade one and I'll get one that says made in Medina. So I was at the airport in Karachi. I was about to, when you go to Pakistan and the airport, before you even get to the airport, they have security. They're like, before you even walk in, they have security. So the guy scanned my bag and he's like, sir, you have gold in there. And I said, yeah. And he said, you're not allowed to take it. And he showed me the sign that said prohibited items. The number one thing was gold bullion. You're not allowed to take it. It is very difficult to transact in gold. I can't like shave off some and give it some. It's not divisible. It's not portable. It's not, there's all these problems with gold. But with Bitcoin, I can send money from me to you anywhere in the world and no one is in the middle of that transaction.
So I'm gonna ask.
I mean, I understand there's fear. There was fear with people using email. There was fear with people using mobile phones. There was using azan on the loudspeaker was not jaiz at one point, right? At the printing press, not great at one point. And, because of that, the Muslims are still probably 300 years behind. We stopped reading. Muslims, as a people, just stopped reading. And the Westerners who adopted the printing press adopted reading. And we were the people who told people to read. That's literally the first words of the Quran. Read. And then we stopped reading.
It was a bit
we stopped reading and didn't get it. Like, what?
So now, look, I told you already, alhamdulillah, our community has adopted the concept of cryptocurrency and donating in cryptocurrency. But I'm going to challenge you a little bit. So just some of the fears that come up.
Sure.
So with gold, you lose gold, you can find it. It still exists, right? You can try and find it. You lose crypto, that's a fear that everyone has. If you send it, you mess up something.
So with Bitcoin, you have to create the security protocols. Same thing with gold, right? So like gold, if I come and steal your gold, I have it. That's why there used to be pirates on ships. so they could go and like seize the gold. That like literally countries would go to war with the other side for nothing else but to capture their gold. Like gold was money for thousands of years. So the same way that you need to have a security protocol for your gold, you need to have a security protocol for your Bitcoin. It's highly suggest a multi-sig wallet and have, 3 or 4 or 5 board members have access to it. Like, for instance, my masjid, they still don't understand cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. I'm on the board of trustees of my masjid, so I was able to force them to just take the Bitcoin, put it in the drawer, and just shut up. Don't talk to me about it. For every other place, the moment I talk to them about giving them the Bitcoin, they say, "Oh, when can we sell it? When can I sell it?" Well, this was the only place, because I'm on the board of trustees for now. Maybe they'll kick me out now that they see the video. That they're like, I can be like, "No, you're not selling." You know, it's a mindset that just take it, keep it, and never sell your Bitcoin. You can transact in it, you can purchase stuff in it, but don't sell your Bitcoin. For what are you gonna get? You're gonna get US dollars? That's not. The US dollar is a riba-based fiat currency. Like every single dollar that we have, every dollar that you have, and every dollar that I have is all riba-based.
Hmm.
We are at war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So again, alhamdulillah, we're our community is past that phase. We've adopted the concept of getting donations to crypto, and alhamdulillah, we do hold cryptocurrency as a part of like what we've for now at least used to establish our endowments and our awqaf. Now, one of the things I'll tell you, a concern that's come up over the past year and a half since October 7th is the concept of cryptocurrency was one that, hey, there is no middleman. There's nobody that's controlling you with how you send and share, etc. But what happened in Gaza specifically, you probably heard like the limitations that then took place, preventing people from being able to access wallets and access some of these things. And that
those are from exchanges.
Sorry.
Okay. And then also, I got into Bitcoin by visiting Palestine in 2017. Ahmed Bukhari, you know Ahmed Bukhari? Ahmed Bukhari met me in Ramadan of 2017 during the Trump 1.0 presidency in DC at an iftar. And he was like, "Subhan, you need to understand about Bitcoin." He like literally shook me. He said, "Subhan, you need to understand Bitcoin." And he didn't let me go home that night. And he forced me to come to his house. He showed me all his mining equipment. He's like, "Subhan, Bitcoin is freedom money. Bitcoin is freedom money. You need to understand. You need to understand." I was like, yeah, dude. Like, come on. Like, whatever. I got Zelle. I got Cash App. Like, I didn't get it, That same month in Ramadan of 2017, I went to Jordan with Helping Hand during the last nights of Ramadan. And then I went to Jerusalem during the last nights for Sheikh Hassan Abunar leads Tarawih during the last nights. So he told me, and I told him I want to meet you. And I met some Palestinians. You want to help them. And I did what any normal Pakistani American kid would do. Because the way that we are taught in America is that if I want to help you, I just take money from my pocket and I give it to you. And then I put up my hands and I say, "Okay, my job is done. I gave you the money, right? Like my duty is complete." So I tried to give this guy some money and he said no. And he took me by the hand and he took me to a shop and he said, "Buy something." And my mind was like blown. Here's this guy who doesn't even have a country, doesn't have anything, and wants the dignity and honor and respect that comes along with the halal income. And I'm from Pakistan. We have tons of beggars there. Tons of them. Like, it's in a whole industry. Like, they probably have a Beggars Association of Pakistan conference or something. And when I tried to buy something from him, the Palestinian, in Jerusalem, it's in Israeli shekels. And yesterday, I learned from Maher, who just passed by here. Maher is a Palestinian American who is the owner of the only Muslim-owned Bitcoin exchange, Coinbits. Him and her brother, they live in New Jersey. They opened a Bitcoin exchange 10, 12 years ago in 2013. They're a Muslim-owned exchange. They're the only Muslim-owned Bitcoin exchange in America.
Okay.
And he told me that the shekel that the Palestinians have is not the same shekel that the Israelis have. The shekel that the Palestinians have is inflated, is seized, is captured, and it is not, you cannot take your Palestinian shekel and go deposit it in the Israeli bank. So the Palestinians have nothing. And when I saw this live in person, I tried to give the guy money and he said, no, he said, come buy something. And then I saw that it was in shekels. I was like, holy crap. This freedom money that Ahmed Bukhari had been telling me about, it's true. That's what Bitcoin is. I can send money directly to you anywhere in the world. And there's no one in the middle of that transaction at virtually zero cost. I can move $1 billion overseas to anyone in the world at zero cost, and there's no one in the middle. That's right. That's a very powerful thing. So, so these little things about, oh, how are people going to we talked about post October 7th. Yes, there were accounts that were on exchanges that were blocked, but that's the same is true as the money in the banks that was blocked. So it's the same. But if you had the Bitcoin, you had custody of the Bitcoin, then you could hold the Bitcoin. Abdullah, you should meet Hasan. Hasan is the president of the largest Islamic center in Maryland.
Yes.
And he's a Bitcoiner.
Oh, no way.
He is Muslim Bitcoiner on Twitter.
MashaAllah. Assalamualaikum. Very good to meet you, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Dialforlaw.com. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured? Dial for law. Hurt at work? Dial for law. Arrested? Dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. Dialforlaw.com.
So, that's what got me into Bitcoin. Look, I could tell you all the technical stuff. I could tell you all the spreadsheets and all this stuff. But when you go and see things and you experience them for yourself, you realize that, no, this is the answer.
The concept makes sense. Now let's talk about for Masajid.
Sure.
Why should Masajid invest in Bitcoin versus traditional stocks and real estate, things like that?
So,
for an individual user that wants to send money to family overseas, this makes sense.
For Masajid, we can, I grew up in the masjid when it was a full donation model. We, alhamdulillah, the Muslim community in the past 15 years, have started to talk about investments. We never talked about this in the 90s, right? So we talked about this in the 2010s and the 2020s. We're actually talking about these things. And probably by the 2030s, our endowments will really be real by then, But these things take time. So what should masjids do? Number one, just establish a waqf and just accept the Bitcoin that people want to give you and don't sell the Bitcoin. Just respect the intent of the donors, because unfortunately what happens is every time I talk to an Islamic organization, I talk to them about creating a waqf and I talk to them about giving the Bitcoin. The first question they ask me is, when can I sell it? Because they're in this consumerist mentality with the short-term benefit. I asked Ikna, I told Ikna, and this is our recording, so I will share this with Ikna. I asked Ikna, if all your Ikna entities, if you were to combine their budget of all the Ikna entities, it's probably $100 million. Okay? If I give you $100,000 compared to your $100 million, it's just a drop in the bucket. You just be quiet, take it, put it in your pocket, and say, fine. It's like Trump would say, somebody's giving me a $400 million plane. Am I going to say no?
So what I'm asking you is this, for Masajid that are still trying to understand this market. Again, there's a lot of still, I don't want to say it in the wrong way, but there's a lot of still
fear, misunderstanding.
Not just fear, but there's also lack of exposure to this space. And a lot of our communities are still being run by individuals that are old school. Many of them are called immigrants, etc. Elders that may not have been exposed to this world of cryptocurrency just yet. And what they've only seen or heard.
I don't like to use the word cryptocurrency.
You're saying Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin And then instead of using the word cryptos, we should use the word companies. Because every crypto that's not Bitcoin is a company, and a company is pushing that product.
Understood.
So there's Bitcoin and then there's companies. So no more cryptos. We're
Fair.
talking about companies.
Fair. For Bitcoin specifically.
Yeah.
The amount of news that they're probably consuming between all the different regular news stations, whatever, that had been pushing back against the adoption of Bitcoin, it causes fear and causes uncertainty.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of times that as a community, when we've shared with our communities through our general body meetings, etc., updating them, hey, alhamdulillah, we've been doing this, we accept cryptocurrencies. The number of our elders that come saying, stop doing this Bitcoin nonsense, this cryptocurrency stuff, stay away from it. And so
It's a detraction.
it is. But again, I guess the question is, why should we tell Masajid to invest and hold on to these?
Before you invest in anything, I think it starts with education. Learn what you're doing. Learn what is this thing. And we had a session earlier today on Bitcoin, the anti-riba monetary protocol. And we'll have the video up. Watch the video, ask questions, engage. We have a nonprofit, Bitcoin Majlis. We had our first Muslim Bitcoin Summit last month in Dallas. We had 105 people from throughout the country and around the world. People from Denmark and Germany came, from Canada. Yakin sent their leadership team. Bashar Dar Salam in Chicago sent some leadership folks. They reached out to us to say that they want to host us next time for the Muslim Bitcoin Summit 2.0. And they are trying to create a $10 million Bitcoin endowment for their community. So they're aggressively adopting. So it's like a bunch of patchwork until we reach a
full adoption, and
right? And so that's how like the ijtima process works. And the same is true with like Islamic financing. I was giving this example earlier today. The way that money used to work when we were on a gold standard was that I would trade my work for gold. I would accumulate the gold. I would save the gold. And over time, the value of the gold went up and the value of the houses went down, and I would purchase the house in the gold. And the way that worked was in a neighborhood where there was, let's say, 1 ounce of gold and 10 houses, each house was worth 1/10 of an ounce of gold. But if you created 10 more houses and now there are 20 houses, but you still kept the 1 ounce of gold, the value of the homes actually went down. Because why? Because there's so much land. Literally, there's so much land, but the value of homes is like astronomical. That doesn't make sense, right? So, but when the United States in 1971 moved off of the gold standard, then the money that you were trading your work for was depreciating faster than the inflation for the new goods. And so no matter how much you saved, you were never able to buy the house. And so the scholars got together and said, hey, if we don't allow the Muslims to buy a home, they will be left behind. And you need a home to live if you're going to live in America. Then, so they gave, they built an ijtima and they built a consensus to say that Islamic home financing is okay, even though it is the same product that's from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and that's backed by all these insurance companies and you sell the same product. But they, put the hand from behind their, whatever. So it's only a matter of time. And I tell the story all the time that I met Mufti Taqi Usmani in August of 2020 in Pakistan. And I asked him, you say that Bitcoin is not jais. There's lots of things that are not jais, like mobile phones, loudspeaker, printing press, etc. When will it be jais? I'm a lawyer. I know that you didn't say haram. You said jais. So I know there's going to be a point where it's going to be jais. So when is it going to be jais? He said, in Urdu, he said, जब तमाम मुल्क दुनिया में इस्तेमाल करेंगे currency के तौर पे, तब jais होगा. When all of the countries around the world use Bitcoin as currency, then it will be jais. And I'm like, what are you saying to me, man? You're telling me that you're waiting for the kafir to come and tell you that you could use this as money? That doesn't really make sense to me. He said, but no, that's my ruling. And then last year, in January of 2024, the United States government put out a ruling, essentially the same as a fatwa, right? A ruling that allows corporations and institutions to buy Bitcoin, right? And so what happened? BlackRock ended up creating the largest ETF in America. BlackRock, the name of the company is Hajar Aswad. The name of the company is Hajar Aswad. BlackRock bought the most Bitcoin. And now it's only a matter of time until BlackRock goes to Mufti Saab and are like, yo, ab hamara Bitcoin to jais karwane, can you make our Bitcoin like acceptable now? Like, so it's really, so, the reason I tell this story normally is that, yo, we're recording here. It's there, but you guys are talking so loud. The reason I tell the story is that ultimately on the day of judgment, you're gonna stand alone. You're not gonna have you can't be like, yo, Mufti Taqi Usmani said this to me a long time ago. I mean, yeah, maybe you blame him on the day of judgment, and maybe
You will have an excuse.
you will have the excuse and then you blame him. But you're gonna be looking there like, man, I was looking to other people to solve my solution for me myself. Like, I'm not smart enough to come up with my own understanding. Like, I can't provide some reasoning for myself.
That's a stretch, though. You're saying that the person's going to be held accountable on the judgment.
No, I'm not saying that.
Not investing in Bitcoin.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, I'm saying you should have your own.
Let me ask you this though. Look, again, going back to what Masajid are like concerned about, stability, right? Right. You can make the argument that Bitcoin, and I've heard it before for the last several years, that Bitcoin's a store of value, similar to gold. What do you like? Gold doesn't fluctuate.
Gold fluctuates so crazy.
Not when like Trump says this or Trump says that or this says that or that. Like, it doesn't jump up and down. It's a lot more stable. With Bitcoin specifically, you'll see it in 1 month go from just the swings are insane, right? And it doesn't provide that that assurance, like, hey, no, don't worry. The argument you're gonna always have, and this is what we have in general, whenever we're having this conversation at my masjid, is, well, what if it tanks tomorrow? What if it tanks tomorrow?
Dialforlaw.com. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured? Dial for law. Hurt at work? Dial for law. Arrested? Dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. Dialforlaw.com.
I think at some point, we all hope that the Bitcoin should stabilize.
If the U.S. government, which currently controls the global monetary reserve assets, the U.S. dollar, is itself creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So they are backing their own currency with Bitcoin. What do you really think is going to happen?
Yeah.
And in Bitcoin terms, it does not fluctuate. You buy 0.5 Bitcoin, it stays 0.5 Bitcoin. It's not moving anymore. The US dollar value is going up and down, but it's going up and down because the US government is doing lots of things. So, for instance, earlier this year, in January of this year, I was in Pakistan and I bought gold for $2,700 an ounce. Gold right now, 5 months later, is $3,400 an ounce. That is a move of 25%. So it is not that in terms of, if you're talking about stable, it's not necessarily super stable. It's still volatile. And when I got married in September of 2018.
Don't forget that day.
Yeah. When I got married in September of 2018, gold was $1,200 an ounce. In the last 7 years, in less than 7 years, gold is now $3,400 an ounce. So it's not super stable. If you're talking about moving up over long periods of time, that same is true with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has moved up. If you look at any 5-year period of time, everyone is in the thing. So it's stable in that sense. If you're looking day to day, if people are worried about the sky is gonna fall, then I can come up with 48,000 other ways that the world's gonna come to an end. Like, what if the water goes out? What if like it rains and the acid, kinds of stuff.
So you tell, if you were to have an audience of masajid that are wondering whether or not to put money in Bitcoin and hold on to it, your answer is
My answer is start with a donation model. Start with a waqf where you honor the intent of the donor. I have reached out to ICNA, YM, and I have offered to give them Bitcoin. And the moment I say I'm willing to give you Bitcoin is the moment they ask me, when can we sell it? And the moment I say you can't sell it is the moment they come up with all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, look, if a donor wants to give you something, you should just honor the intent of the donor. And I use the same three words: honor, donor, intent. That's what it should be. If the donor is telling you, hey, I want you to have this, I don't want you to sell it, I just want you to add it as a line item on your masjid's financial reserves. And I want you to tell other people, hey, if you guys have Bitcoin and you guys want to give it to us for our endowment, then come talk to us. If you can convince someone else to give it to you and they allow you to sell it, then do that. But whatever the thing is, you should just honor the intent of the donor. If the donor intends to give it to you and then allows you to use it in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, then just honor that intent. If the donor is telling you, hey, just take it, don't sell it, we'll talk about it in the future. If you guys want to do something big, come talk to me and we'll talk about it at that time. But until then, don't do anything. Just put it in a drawer somewhere. Just do that. And if you say no to that donor, how is that donor going to feel? That donor is going to feel pretty worthless. And that's kind of that's been what's been happening with me and Ikra and YM all these years, is that I've been
Hey, if you go to IV.org and stuff, though, you can take your frustration and take a share.
I'm an alumni of YM. I want them to understand, just take it. Honor the intent of the donor, whoever gives it to you. If the donor who's giving it to you tells you, don't sell it, don't sell it. If the donor tells you, hey, I want you guys to do youth programming with this Bitcoin, do that. Just have a policy that we're going to honor the intent of the donor. If I was to give advice to masjids, masajid across America, I would tell you, just take it. Just take it first. Don't worry about putting your money on it. Just take what other people give you and honor the intent of the donor. If the donor tells you don't do it, don't do it. If it tells you do it in a few years, do it. But it's just the resistance comes when they want you to give it to them and then sell it. Like if I wanted to just give you $50,000, I would have just given you the $50,000. But if I want you to have the Bitcoin, just have the Bitcoin and hold the Bitcoin and do nothing and just chill.
I'd be interested to know if what you're saying, YM, etc. If you were to say, hey, fine, I'll give you stocks. The answer to the thing.
They'll take it.
They'll hold it or they'll sell.
It'll depend on what their situation is, right? But like, I think they would keep it. Look, it's like Trump with the $400 million plane. Are you gonna say no? Somebody hand comes and say, I'll give you a $400 million plane. You gonna say no, Bill? That's a pretty foolish thing to do. That's it.
Yeah.
Good. So, appreciate the time.
No, exactly. Thank you, sir.
It's a good conversation. It's something 27 minutes. That's like a full episode of the podcast. Oh, well, let me tell you this. We created a Dial for Law, 833 Dial for Law. It's an attorney referral service where all the attorneys in the network are Muslim. But it's advertised to a non-Muslim audience.
What's the intent? Dawah or?
No, the intent is to get business from the wider community and bring it into the family. And then, I already run a group, Muslim Lawyers in New York. And the way that started was, it was like 6 or 7 of us. We were referring business to each other, trying to keep business in the family. And in the last 6 years, it's grown to now we have 195 Muslim attorneys in New York City. We've been hosting like fundraisers for care together and like hosting iftars together, like all the Muslim owned firms, not like So like we have a Muslim Bar Association of New York, but they're like employees. Like they go work at big firms or the government. They can't say anything.
Right.
They can't say free Palestine. They can't do anything. We are the opposite. We're the firm owners, and we can say whatever we want.
Yeah.
So then my goal with this was to kind of, I built the network already of Muslim attorneys. Now my goal is to monetize for them. And, eventually I'll get something too. But like the idea is if I could bring them business and grow the family, and then also motivate other young Muslim students to like go start their own practice instead of being like, a slave for somebody else.
For sure. That's good. That concept should be implemented in every like sector of
Yeah,
the
trying to
world.
figure out how do we keep the business in the family.
We need to learn from some of the people that are
Our cousins.
yeah, exactly. They're very good at this. They're very good at building themselves, retaining wealth.
Lots of
trying to create.
lots of orgs that are all intertwined and dealing with each other. Lots of like the Hasbara. That's how Hasbara works.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hasan.
Jazakallah khair. Really appreciate it, sir.
Inshallah. Be served.
Likewise.